Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Momodou Krubally once again. Welcome to another episode of The Conversation. This is our second interview with former Ambassador, Mr. Essa Bokar Sey, in our continuous discussion with key members of the Gambian Movement for Democracy. When I say Movement for Democracy here, this is not an organization, but more every effort that is currently taking place to dislodge the dictatorship in the Gambia. And that is what we mean by movement here. We will go ahead and take a quick break whilst Mr. Sey prepares himself, and then we will be back and have a great conversation again with you. Mr. Essa Bokar Sey, hold on one quick second, get ready, and we will be right back with you, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Krubally.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Again, this is Momodou Krubally at another episode of The Conversation with former Ambassador, Gambian Ambassador, Mr. Essa Bokar Sey. Today is Sunday, January 17th, 2016 at 5:41 p.m. Los Angeles time. We have on the line with us Ambassador Essa Bokar Sey. Welcome to The Conversation, my friend.
Thank you, MB. Like the beginning, my friend, of course, yes, and my brother. This is your brother once again joining you on The Conversation, Essa Bokar Sey.
Thank you. And Mr. Sey, without wasting any more time, we will go ahead and begin the interview. The last time we had the opportunity to meet you, obviously, Mr. Sey, we got to know where you're from. Your military background and your professional background, your stand on some Gambian issues. So moving on, Mr. Sey, talking with you, I understand that you speak quite a lot of Gambian languages, at least 5. Can you tell our listeners how many languages you speak and how you came to learn all these languages?
Let me begin with Mandinka, because there is a reason why I began with it. And I will come afterwards with my own mother tongue and the Wolof language, and then French and or English and French. Well, the reason why I said I'll begin with Mandinka is because when I was born Fulani, and then I was raised in Kuntaya, and then later on I was taken to stay for a short while with my father's elder brother, known as Adama Jallo, some know him as Adama Nene. And the experience of the Gambianness in me began when I arrived in Kerewan, Badibu, before I took my command entrance, went to Armitage. And that's when I first of all came face to face with a challenge. I mean, experiencing language barrier in my own country. To be honest with you, I'm very sincere in what I'm saying here right now, because I found my cousins, Usman Jallo and Abu Bakar Jallo and Mama Kadi Jallo and Fatumata Jallo, a very nice family. In fact, Abu Bakar lives in Northern Europe. He will listen to this interview, speaking fluently Mandinka, and they turn around and speak Fula with me. So as a child, I said, look, this is definitely not going to be a way forward. And it's where I first was exposed to speaking Mandinka. In Badibu, if you realize that when I speak Mandinka, sometimes I'm a mixture of the Mandinka language itself, because the Badibu one and the Makati Island one, the Basse one, you can still feel some nuances here, some linguistics here and there, which sometimes like what they call Tia Yeringo in Combo Mandinka is what they call Maraba in Makati. I'll tell you a short story here, which is funny. One of my classmates, when I was in school, Abdurrahman Jallo, we one time went out in the city, and then after watching a movie at Armitage, he said, Ngata Maraba Nining. And I was thinking like, I said, I'm not going to visit anybody. I'm very tired, and I have to go back and sleep. He said, Esa Maraba Manke Moti. So, you know, and then after that, I will come to Fulani. Of course, I am born Fulani, and I found my mother and my father speaking Fulani, and I did not face that particular challenge. Here I am not responding politically because of the larger number. I'm responding naturally and sincerely and honestly to the Gambianness here. It could have happened to a Mandinka. It could have happened to a Wolof. So, and then Wolof, MB, I'll give you an answer. I believe that one will make you laugh for days to come. I have a Wolof wife, so you can imagine. If I couldn't speak Wolof, do you think I have a wife? That's it.
It'd be difficult.
So this is how I learned these three languages. The other one, I had to learn it hard to be able to survive in Kerewan. The other one, I had to learn it hard because it is what I found my mother and my father speaking. The other one, if I couldn't speak it, I wouldn't get married. That's it.
Great, great. And I understand you're fluent in French also?
Yes, I'm English. Of course, you and I cross paths in how I learn English, because like the job I do, some of the people, when I meet them, I said, in America, you guys say English as a second language. And I told them that we grew up in the village. Sometimes we encountered Peace Corps volunteers buying us lantern lamps and candles to learn these languages. I told them, for us, English is not a second language. Even for you, Momodou, because you speak Fulani as much as I speak it, and you speak Mandinka too. I mean, so we can say English is either our third language or our fourth language, definitely. So I can say, learning Fulani at home, learning Wolof and Mandinka in the streets, and then starting my ABCD, or even going through the Arabic school, I mean, because which is the Dara, where we learn the Quran also. So I can say English, to be honest with you, is my fourth language. And then I studied it from primary school to high school to university. And then French also, you remember some part of it, Momodou. You were with me in the high school. Anyway, you remember our famous French society. So I've always been attracted to the linguistics of French, which I studied, went into the army, left the army, and then was sponsored by the, like we said earlier on, I mean, in our first interview, by the French, the French government, and I studied it up to university level. So, and now, in fact, what I do every day, French is the mother art of my activities on official matters every day almost. So, to be honest with you, this is a very good question, because it's a question that helps us cross borders and fight against language barrier. And I would also say, we always hear language barrier, but I think understanding so many languages is also challenging cultural barriers also. So I believe language is a vehicle of, is a vehicle of messages, and I believe the contents in that vehicle should be useful, but not, toxic waste. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. C. That was great. I just wanted to, for the people to have some kind of a background information, the uniqueness of our, country, how it doesn't matter where you're from. Most Gambians speak 2 to 3 languages. It just shows how well we get along as a nation, and how we obviously as a nation also do live together peacefully. Just driving towards what Gambia is trying to do right now is just to divide us as a united front. But to talk about a little bit of history, what do you know of our founding fathers, how they fought for independence and how they were able to move little Gambia to become the state it is today, despite the colonial masters thinking that we couldn't survive as a country?
Well, definitely not. My brother MB Krubally, I can say, cultural imperialism is worse than imperialism itself. So the fact that somebody is made to believe that you couldn't manage yourself and you believe in it, but in actual fact, you inherited from Sunjata Keita, you inherited from Smauru Conte, you inherited from the Songhai Empire, the Ghana Empire, you inherited from the Kabu, Mama Janke Wali and others, Musa Mola, Maba Jahu Ba, and you still believe you could not manage yourself. When Europe was crossing the dark ages, we had monuments like Timbuktu in Mali today. Definitely that is the worst insult history has ever presented before us. So when we scale it down to where we are from, we all are about when we went to school. You remember when they used to teach us written history is better than oral history, and language has these abilities. You will listen and you will speak, you will read and you will write. So I don't know how written could have been before us when there was no spoken. So you see, these are diversions that have been put into our psyche by the colonial master. So we have inherited values, we have inherited progress. Let us just go back to the founding fathers of the Gambia, just to, in a nutshell. When we talk about founding fathers, I would think that we should, at our generation today, not only gender equality, we should also say founding mothers. Because we have always been hearing founding fathers, founding fathers. I think there are mothers too besides these fathers. Let's say you go back to Gambia. Post PPP, and the pre-PPP time. Even pre-colonial time, we can go back there. But because we will take a long time to answer that question, but let us just scale it down to the time of Francis Edward Small, for example. He fought with these colonialists regardless of the fact that they share the same faith because they all answered to the call of a church. But he fought to make sure that the people in the Gambia were free from the yoke of colonialism. We remember when Franklin D. Roosevelt passed by Gambia and then went and then was banging the table before Winston Churchill, telling him that we are here fighting against the invasion of Hitler. But at the same time, some of the colonists that you have are left to walk barefoot and they barely have something to eat, are not taken care of. The runway at the Gambia was lit by wood and all things like that. So you see, is it a question of us not being able to manage ourselves, or it is a question of being isolated, dislocated, and then relocated? That's slavery. But at the same time, it exists within Africa itself. So I don't believe in the fact that we as people couldn't manage ourselves. That's why the colonialists came to manage us. Because it's not a question of management. It's a question of motivation and orientation. We were motivated by our fierce fighting forefathers, but at the same time, we were disoriented by the interest of a power that wanted to come and install itself in Africa and then exploit the resources. but at the same time being helped by the African himself. So you know, if we refer to Basil Davidson, if we refer to so many books, you will find out. But before I conclude the answer here, MB, which is your questions are very good, because I know the way you ask questions anyway. I mean, when you think about it this way, the disheartening part of it, though, is this, my brother. Colonialist dominates you. Slave master shackles you and takes you to work in plantations. Now, modern day Gambia, contemporary Gambia, you have somebody who is using that blackness, the name of Africa, being a son of Africa, shackling and imprisoning the people that we are inherited. So you can see that the way the colonialists could come and insult us with that way of you could not manage yourself, you are savages. How can a continent where humanity claims to have begun from be savages and cannot manage themselves? We were disoriented, and then we are now again disoriented by our own sons. A person calling himself an African, using the shackles, the old shackles and chains that he inherited from the colonialists. That is what I have to say on that one for now, my brother.
Thank you, Mr. C. I know that you started mentioning about the modern-day slavery that is happening in the Gambia. We will dive into that in a little bit. Obviously, when we got our independence from the British, the Gambia was known as a very peaceful country, the smiling coast of West Africa. Obviously, in 1981, the coup d'etat changed a lot of stuff over there, which brought about the need for an army, which you were a part of, and also a branch of that security forces, which is the Gendarmerie. You were part of the Gambian Gendarmerie, is that right?
Yes, you are right, absolutely.
Could you just tell the layman out there, or just our listeners, how did the Gendarmerie came about in the Gambia?
Well, I'll teach you before we go further. I think I reported on my sign-in. The way you're pronouncing Gendarmerie means that you need to go back to class. Okay. You know my signing and I'm working, right? I'll take you back to those people and tell you to pronounce Gendarmerie. Okay,
good. I'll do that. Gendarmerie.
Okay. MD, it is what some people call it the elite force. Some people call it the military police. It is the branch within the army that does police duties and also does things related to judiciary, and at the same time does the duty of a soldier. They are very well trained into peacekeeping operations, intelligence gatherings, and all that stuff. So when it comes to the Gendarmerie, the intention of the former regime was to have an army, but an army side by side with discipline and respect for human rights and the rule of law. That is why the Gendarmerie was, established during the former regime under the leadership of President Sadauda Kairaba Jawara. So the Senegalese came in, and then because they are our closest neighbors, in fact, it was going to be very expensive if we had to invite like a country like Ghana, didn't have Gendarmerie, it's just military. Even if they could train Gambians at that point, the ID card of Ghana at that time might have just been seen as, oh, okay, you are just replacing repression with repression, training these to become other Achampongs and Jerry Rawlings in the Gambia. So I believe it was not a bad idea to, in fact, strategically speaking, MB, Gambia is surrounded by Senegal, a country that is 15 million, and we are still struggling to be an exact 2 million. Don't you think it's wiser for us to know what they speak officially? Being French. So I think having invited the Gendarmerie there was not a bad idea. Some of us joined that part of the army, which was, of course, later on amalgamated with the Gambia National Army, and then the tactical support group was later on integrated into the Gambia Police Force. But I think the training package that was reserved for the officers, the senior officers, who were sent abroad to learn, to understand, to use French as, a medium of communication, to learn about tactics, combat, and as I said, to do police duties, respect human rights, respect the rule of law, prepare case files, take people to court and argue out the case to make sure that you get convictions. In fact, I remember when we used to be at the Combo station, at that time the head of the intervention Gendarmerie with the military police and all that was Ibrahim Ismail Chongan. There was a time that when people go to court, it was statistics. They would record how many cases did you win. It was like a competition. We are not making fun out of imprisoning people, but it was like if you go to court, I remember my brother was very good at those things. Hijab Bokar Sey, he's from Sari Alpha. His dad is my dad's brother, Ba Usman Yade. Babukar was very good at those things. Whenever he went to court, he made sure that he won his case, preparing case files. Going there, we had this Ghanaian lawyer who used to come and train people called J.K. Dako. These were the times that people were trained to know how to go to court. People like my brother, Dulai Lemon, who was later on head of the Gambia drug squad. All these are products of that time. There was a time that some of us were taken to the École Gendarmerie of Paul Lapierre. We're trained to come back to be gendarmes, to be soldiers, and to be police officers. In fact, some left that branch to become lawyers. Let me tell many people, this is the base where people like Chongan started from. In fact, it is the springboard of his development, which later motivated him to study law. In fact, he teases me sometimes when he speaks. My brother said, "You're not going to get law, you should have done law," and I just laugh. But anyway, there were two sides of it. Those who are in the Gendarmerie who did not waste time, they would either become lawyers or become linguists. Some of them went to study public administration. So it was not a bad institution per se. The Gambia National Army also definitely wasn't bad because we had the British back. And then they produced a lot of good scholars. In fact, some people entered the Gambia National Army with their degrees. And then they were motivated by being given responsibilities. People like my brother Momodou Sonko. We are not used to each other, but he's somebody that I respect. Others who went to study. In fact, others entered the Gendarmerie with their law degrees, like Momodou Marong. People know him as Gemas, and people, who were university products, like Demba Njai, like Captain Amadou Suare, These are scholars who went into the service, like many others, like the former Minister of Interior, of course, missed steps here and there, but nobody should deny the fact that he is a respectable scholar too, as far as academia is concerned, which is Usman Badi. So you see, in a nutshell, it was an institution that produced cadres, and the results are speaking for themselves as we speak. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. As a young man, obviously, I came to know of the Gendarmerie in Basse during the 1981 when they were obviously coming in from Senegal to go stop the 1981 coup Samba Sanyang coup d'etat, the failed coup d'etat. Now, just a quick second here leading to the next question. What was your take when the Senegalese came in at that time to stop a Gambian from trying to take over power? What's your reaction to that?
To be honest with you, my immediate reaction was synonymous to many, because I saw it as, okay, we're a sovereign nation, we're a country of our own, why would Senegalese forces intervene to stop us? But that is the first that people want to quench as students. You remember, you and I know, when we were in Amite school giving speeches, going on assembly hall, dining hall, delivering speeches. Sometimes we extract certain verses from different book sources, nationalist and all that stuff. That is the kind of feeling I had. But I would admit that, I didn't have the experience I have now, and then I did not go through everything and understand what I have understood now. But at that time, I saw it like, hey, we are Gambia. We shouldn't allow ourselves to be under any other country. because that is the era. You know, it was the Cold War era. I mean, and you know, you and I would admit that the Marxist, Leninist, Socialist, as far as speech and swaying and persuading society, they're very good at it. I mean, imagine somebody delivers a speech and ends it with down with imperialism, down with nepotism, Jawara the public enemy. You know, at that time, you and I, you know, we were at Amity School listening to those kind of speeches, would believe that, hey, this is our time. This is our time to be the America Cabrals. This is our time to be. But later on, one will find out that I still respect America Cabral. I still respect Patrice Lumumba. I still respect Samora Machel, Nelson Mandela, and others. At the same time, but I found out that what we were listening to in the Gambia, the waves that were coming to swallow us were not similar to what brought in America Cabral and others. So along the way, I definitely felt that, oh, if I had continued believing that I might have been misled. So the feeling I had was a narrow nationalist mindedness, which was stemming from inexperience. But along the way, I have discovered that on the whole, it is not about the theory, it is not about the speech, it is not about the style, and it is not about popularity, but it is about being aware and understand, and then know this is the way forward to benefit society instead of leaning on speeches and styles and literature that was so alien to us, but it could definitely sway somebody very easily at that time. I hope that answers the question, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Obviously, that did answer my question. Like I said, as a young man, when I saw those trucks and coming in with some weapons that most Gambians had not seen, that was very terrifying. But we knew that obviously the Senegalese were acting on an agreement which was part of the Confederation. Given that ever since the military came into existence, there has been on average almost every 2 years an attempted coup d'etat of somewhat, whether true or not. Given how fluid our nation is right now, do you think the Third Republic should get into a confederation with Senegal for security reasons and also in a way to strengthen the ECOWAS protocol?
Yes. My yes is not, I think we should get into a confederation. My yes is that I'm emphasizing the importance of your question, brother. The thing is, you see, things like Senegambia, confederation, federation, and all those things, the way we should begin with is why your question is important. Because look, every politics begins with the local politics. Make no mistake about it. The geopolitical arena is influenced by what is produced locally. Because each head of state, each delegate comes with the background of what the constituents that elected them into power want them to talk about. Unless and until if that person is a tyrant who does not care about elections or being empowered by the people. So when it comes to confederation, federation, I think you mentioned one word, my brother, is very important: security. Because you cannot have stability without security, and you cannot have progress without stability. So these are interwoven, because it's about SSP, security, stability, progress. But tyranny wants to do PSS, progress, stability, security. You cannot, you cannot, like the horse can only pull the cart, but the cart cannot pull the horse. But that does not mean that there is no horse and there is no cart. We know that the tyrant will tell us, here is my horse, here is my cart. But sir, you are trying to make the cart pull the horse, which is not possible. That's why tyrants are not part of what we want to see and hear. So when it comes to the security of the Gambia, you are asking a question which is a leading question, and you are asking a question confirming that you also have some qualities of leadership in you, because any person who is thinking about removing the incumbent without thinking about security, lasting security, so that we will not have another person like that, is definitely not thinking straight, I'm sorry to say. And that's why I respect this question you asked, because When we think about Gambia tomorrow, when we think about, in fact, it's not only with Senegal. We should have a pact, a security pact. Even America has. They don't go into countries without beginning with security pacts. Even if you want, you can go on Google and do a research. You will see that they have signed security pacts with many other countries. Now, when I say politics is local, why do you think America did not sign to be part of the ICC? Because it's influenced by the constituents here. They wouldn't want to expose their sons and daughters who are fighting abroad to the claws of a dictator who will lock behind the clauses of ICC and then come and cut one of their soldiers who was out there to defend people against tyranny and take them to court. So you see, the local part of it influences the international part of it. So now, we should not only stop with Senegal, Brother Embi. We should sign security pacts with Senegal. We should sign agreements with Guinea-Bissau. We should sign agreements with England, with the United States of America, because it's interwoven. There are clauses and there are experts who can do that within 72 hours and then put it on the table. Then the Gambia will not be locked up like an isolated island, which is suffering from the yoke of oppression and then being fed by the toxic waste that is dripping from a cartel's septic tank. So definitely you are right. I agree. It's a leading question. This is not only a question, but it's a leading question. We need to sit down and think about signing pacts with countries like Senegal, Ghana, any other part of that area to make sure that we are secure, not only to secure a state, but we are securing the people. And then respect the ECOWAS protocol. The ECOWAS protocol will be ineffective if the Gambia doesn't respect it. But if the Gambia signs an agreement, and then maybe your forthcoming questions will ask me, but if you allow me, if you stretch it further down the line, you see, I once said something like that. In fact, I didn't say it. I just made reference to Article 4 of the African Union, which empowers that union to intervene into a country where that particular leadership is repressing its people and not basing it on anything lawful. So security and signing it with outside forces is very important, my brother, and thank you for that question.
Thank you. So obviously, your answer insinuates that if you were to be the president of our nation today, you would definitely get some kind of an agreement with either Senegal or our neighboring countries to ensure that there is not any type of instability in the country, especially when it comes to coup d'etats. Is that right?
Yes, MD, even if I was not, and I'm part of a system, just to emphasize and to give more value to your question and the answer that follows the question, even if I am part of a team, because the whole thing is about teamwork. So even if I were to be part of a new government, my brother, I promise you that I would push that forward to the leadership to say, hey, before we talk about anything, let's think about securing this society so that we will not be vulnerable anymore to tyranny and to aggression. And the aggression, sometimes people only think about external aggression. But if a tyrant is at his office, he purges, he sends numberless, cars without number plates. That is what I call, quote-unquote, internal aggression, my brother, because the person in State House is aggressive towards people at their homes, in their homes, son. So yes, if I were to be part of any team of leadership for tomorrow, I would definitely encourage for us. And then let's talk about zoning and mapping as far as diplomacy is concerned. You see, security also can happen by using that. Do you know, many people don't even know why we have an embassy in Guinea-Bissau. If it was for economic reasons, we would never have an embassy in Guinea-Bissau. The reason is security. The reason is protective. But now, it was there during Jawara's time. But now protecting who against what? This is how they wanted to smuggle Kukoy Samba Sanyang in a plane. At that time, former General Lantombong Tamba was on top. And then he was part of the people who were organizing for the extradition of Kukoy. to bring back your earlier question, how important it is. That is where a representative of ECOWAS said, no, they cannot allow that because that is a breach of the ECOWAS protocol. So you see, the law doesn't care about Kukoy was somebody who overthrew a government and was proclaiming Marxist-Leninism. It only cares about he's a human being who deserves to be protected and to be taken before a court of law until proven guilty. So the ECOWAS protocol, again, is interwoven into that because any future government, if I am to be part of that team, whether the leader or not, I would definitely stand up, encourage it, and promote it, and then ask people to motivate others to promote it so that we will definitely strategically think about that part of, agreeing with neighbors, with, foreign donors, with, traditional partners, and all that to make sure that security and law come first before anything else. Because without security and law, there is no way that anybody can ever discourage tyranny, dictatorship in the Gambia. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. C. Obviously, my question for the security, reasons is that given what had happened in our nation the last 21 years, obviously when Jammeh is gone, who knows what kind of weapons we have in the country, what other people, citizens are pretty much very angry, and the fact that we don't have an organized, security system or security forces, I have a feeling that will be our biggest threat. With that said, obviously, you mentioned the likes of Chongan, who hopefully I will have the opportunity to speak with in length about the Gendarmerie, and yourself. Hopefully, one of these days, we will take some time to dive deep into the ECOWAS and AU protocols, just so that people can really understand what these groups are for and how they have either helped or not helped, address the situation in our country. But ladies and gentlemen, again, we have Mr. Essa Bokar Sey with us today at the conversation. Just another episode of just talking with key players in the movement to restore democracy in our nation. And for the interest of time, Mr. Sey, we'll dive into our next set of questions, which is the current issues. But before that, let's take a quick break and get either a cup of tea or water, and then we will be right back. Thank you so much. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Momodou Krubally having a discussion with Mr. Essa Bokar Sey. Today is Sunday, January 17th at 6:15 p.m. We will be right back.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is Momodou Krubally at another episode of the conversation with former ambassador of the Gambia, Mr. Essa Bokar Sey. We just talked in length a little historical background of our nation, the need to look beyond Jammeh, and obviously we talked a little bit about security issues. Mr. Sey, welcome back.
Thank you, my brother MD. Thank you.
Diving into the current issues, Mr. Sey, the last time you were here with us, we had a very timely discussion, and I hate to admit that you were right on how Yaya will try to sneak into his idea of an Islamic state. Can you update us on what has happened so far, and most important, what do you think lies ahead with this irresponsible leader that we have?
Yes, my brother. I mean, you know, it's always pleasing, and one should always say, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin, Hamdan Kathiran. Whenever these kind of things happen, you have to praise the Lord of the universe, because I could have predicted it and it would not happen also. But, you see, I always say this in Wolof. When, or Mandinka, I always say that, Suri now, pun sen bagay nam ko fire, dam ko har famoy tak. You know? Na de tikan kana dampongol jibe ka bot habita la habita boila damento ka batul. This is the thing. So somebody wa bot dar dip jede achu ha bo jipodo. So we have that. Like if he's flying, don't look at how beautiful he spreads the wings. Go and wait for him where he's landing, because that is where you will see what he has come up with. This is exactly what the method I was saying is, Yaya knows about the laws, but he doesn't respect them. The thing I knew exactly that he was going to use the executive, and he would use diplomatic channels and the media to make sure that what he says exists. If those things are already contained within his propaganda machine of publicity tests, he will come back now to make sure that he shoots it into through our gullets by using the rubber stamp assembly. And that is exactly what I said before, that the constitution that many of us refer to is in fact by itself unconstitutional, because the constitution is a repetition of, it aids and abets a tyrant to repeat unconstitutional things. So he knows how to play the game. And people believe that, oh, politics is a game. Politics is not a game, MB. You and I know that. Politics is science. That's why they say you have a degree in political science. Have you ever had a doctorate degree in political games? You will never hear that. So it's an observation and derivation of facts. So we observed and derived facts. The facts are he will use executive orders, executive memos, and like I said, he will wake up one day, go and say your birth certificates now will have Islamic Republic of the Gambia. Hopefully, he knows now where his limits are, because, I mean, I think, I am not sure, but I think Yaya Jammeh himself knows that. Like I said earlier in one of my programs, he has raised his leg, he's about to step on the red line, but he knows that the moment he steps the red line, the mine will explode and all the booby traps will explode and he will die. Because he has exceeded the limits of the patience of the Gambians and the world community of nations. Yaya Jammeh did not only provoke Gambians, he didn't push us, he pushed the world at large, thinking that in his megalomaniac mind, anything he thinks is right, anything he thinks is wrong is wrong. This is where the danger lies. And that's why some people say this, totalitarianism is a disease. And this is what is killing Yaya Jammeh. And look at the way things are going. Now the next thing is, he said, I have withdrawn, and in fact they're nullifying the executive order because of the concern and the love I have for women. Look, Emily, when it comes to theology, when it comes to faith, why would an executive order be thrown out and then be withdrawn? Because Sharia, because Islamic State, even if it is a Christian state, when you start speaking like that, you are no longer speaking human language. You are speaking the divine language. And these religions, in fact, anybody who wants to play with them, now look at Yaya, he's throwing it back to you and I, to others. No, nobody can bring difference between us and the Christians. He is the one who attacked the Christians. In fact, he doesn't understand Islam. Because if you pray the greetings that is recommended at the end of a prayer, if we hear people say Abrahamic religions, especially, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, those are from Ibrahim. Look, when you pray, those who pray know, those who know the religion know there is a part which says, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallayta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim. Allahumma, so there is like, it is telling you that I am praying and bowing before the Lord to pray on Muhammad and the people, the followers of Muhammad, as he prayed on Ibrahim and the followers of Ibrahim. So if you are saying that, Barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alamin innaka Hamidul Majid, bless Muhammad and the people who are with Muhammad, his followers, as you blessed Ibrahim and the followers of Ibrahim. That does not exclude anybody else. People need to understand the linguistics sometimes. So, is there any dissociation between us and our brother? It is when somebody wakes up to fight you in your faith, that's when you fight him. Those people, Father Edu Gomez, the bishop, Robert Ellison, the late Bishop Chilawa Johnson, Michael Clary and others. In fact, who ushered the Gambia into independence? The bells that rang at the church in Balangar were run by Francis Edward Small. So Yaya Jammeh knows that he's using Islam to get petrodollars from extremists whose literature he does not even understand. He's burning himself and he will end up suffering in the fire he started. And I tell you that, my brother, very soon he will realize worse days lie ahead for him because of playing with these theologies. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. C, and for that in-depth answer. So obviously, we've seen you drove a little into the head tie issue. I call it the hijab law. That obviously, an executive order for all government employees to cover their hair during work hours. And obviously, I believe a week later, he went ahead and reversed that executive order. Now, do you think it is a case of some saying that it's because of his wife, or do you think he did it because of the pressure from all the entities out there that spoke against this executive order? What do you think is the reason for this reversal?
On either side, thank you, that is a very good question. On either side, my brother, Yaya has been playing a zero-sum game, but this time the zero-sum game is being played by consensus and the power of the people. So, even on either side, even if it is pressure from outside or the wife, it is the pressure from outside that has won. Because there are people who said, if the wife who told him that I am not going to cover my head, but the wife also knows where the line has been drawn. And Zaina is using Yaya as an industry for her survival and for the survival of her family and to save a lot of money to become a queen for the rest of her life. Just the same way like Momodou Seseko's wife was, like Ferdinand Marcos' wife was. There is no difference. In fact, when Charles Taylor was taken out of power, Yaya Jammeh himself received Jewel Taylor at night at the airport in the Gambia. Some Gambians know it, but let us tell them that. She was there. Why was she in the Gambia? What has she preserved for herself? When Laurent Gbagbo was about to be taken out, the wife was not allowed to fly to land at certain airports. Yaya allowed her to transit via Gambia. She took a plane from there. That is when she arrived in France, they impounded her flight. Why was he receiving them? Why was he involved in receiving people like Blake Goudet? These are the kind of machinations that the wife knows. She knows that when it falls down, her industry and financial empire falls down. So it's not because of she doesn't want to cover herself. Of course, a lady that comes here during Ramadan, going to restaurants and putting on stockings, coming out of Esquire Journal, being called the sexiest, one of the sexiest. You know, MB, you live in Las Vegas, my friend. That is the hub of this kind of language. Las Vegas, I mean, you guys, Los Angeles, you know what I'm talking about. Somebody who is tagged as one of the sexiest women in the world on Esquire Journal. Do you think that person will be married to a crazy mental midget who is suffering from diminished mental capacity, wake up one day and tell people cover your heads? She does not want to do that, but it is the force coming from the people that has won. If she knew that the people wouldn't resist, she would not care. She would still leave the husband because Zainab doesn't stay in the Gambia. She doesn't go out. She would have just been going to the airport in tinted glasses. Would any one of us know that whether she covered her hair or not? From the tinted glasses, she'll be driven to the foot of the aircraft, enters the aircraft and flies out. The moment she reaches outside, she doesn't care because she will say that I am trying to conform to the culture here because Gambia is an Islamic state because I'm the wife of the president. Hypocritically, I cannot cover my head here because this is your culture. That is what pushed them to come out of it. It's the force coming from consensus and public opinion locally and internationally, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You did talk about Zainab being the sexiest. I don't know if Tukulor C will agree with that, but that's a whole different conversation. Just moving on, you talked a little bit about Father Edu Gomez, and I just wanted to bring that up. We recently saw him on national TV. Obviously, he gave a very fitting, discussion to the nation. It left me thinking, why is it that our Christian leaders are brave enough to come out and speak the truth in public and on national TV, but not our Muslim imam? Why? What is the difference there, and why are they able to do it and not our people? Is it hypocrisy? Is it greed? Or is it just a lack of understanding that part of leadership and part of being a leader of a religious group is to be able to protect that group and speak the truth when it is needed?
Yes, sir. I mean, well, I will just begin with the Mandinka saying, we say, so if you find, men on the one shade and you say that all of you are equal, yet you insulted some. So, save the late Imam Karamo Toure, save Al-Haji Baba Mukhtar Lish, save Sirif Dino Haidara and others, save Imam Barkaus Fofana. Even though he went back to Gambia, I will ever respect that man because he spoke publicly and suffered the consequences. So, but the larger part, your question is right, because we constitute 90% of the population where the power of the people lies. So now if 8% would stand up and fight against tyranny without fear, without thinking about the consequences, those people who are teaching Islam, they did not derive the lesson from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is the Christians who used his lesson and the lesson of Jesus. That's the truth. Say Babali and others. Because even the battle of Uhud or Badr, if I remember, there was a time that 300 versus 3,000 or something like that. It is a question of conviction and determination. This is a small number, but it's a united number. I'll give you the analogy here. If you have a big iron rod, but it's like a black iron rod, and then you have a small piece of diamond, you take it to the diamond dealer. However big the iron rod is the diamond that he or she will buy at an expensive price. So what is the diamond here? It's unity. So those people who call themselves imams, they like beautiful, they like nice cars, beautiful women, they like money, they like living in mansions. Some of them are even giving guards, like the Imam Hatim of Banjul, guards. That is mundane. Do you find guards at the Imam of Dakar, at Dakar's house? You don't. So this is mundane. Yaya knows that this is their weakness. They have mundane desires. So he utilizes greed, and then hypocrisy, and then anything associated with what he believes is why he is the Mansa. That's what they like. So he knows how to deal with them through that. So it's obvious that it is a question of greed and hypocrisy. And then I have this to say. Some people would say, in what living in the hands of God. God will, you see, those people are using laziness. They're using indifference to cover themselves, and then will say, Yalla. Look, Andy, there is no great man, say Umar Futi Utal, Muhammad Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, in fact, the beginning and the end of all those great men, he's the greatest. And any other great person in any other religion. Look, for goodness sake, Jesus was crucified by Caesar. Even though Jesus said, leave what belongs to Caesar with Caesar, with order, Caesar was not satisfied. Because what belongs to Caesar is mundane, but Caesar wanted people to see him as a divine person who is at the level of God, and that was the difference between Jesus and Caesar, because that does not belong to Caesar. Our imams, they are giving to Yaya what does not belong to Yaya. They want to make him a divine power, which is not. That's why he does not respect them at all, my brother.
But Mr. C, given that Father Edu Gomez is still in the Gambia, you've mentioned a lot of imams that had left the country when they spoke the truth, one of whom is obviously Imam Babali, who I have a lot of respect for. What's the difference here, given that these imams have more of a following, but then a small minority of Christians, their leaders can get up and say whatever they want to and say the truth, and nothing happens to them? Can you explain that?
Yes, that is a very good question. The thing is that Baba Mustafa Ali and others, still it comes back to the support base. The larger the number, the more we can say statistically we have support. The Christians, so far what we have seen, you would not see people attending that church going underneath to report, to implicate these imams. These bishops and fathers. So it still comes back to the question of unity. Some people don't care. Baba Musali was arrested. Some of them don't even know whether his family is eating. Imam Karamo Ture, the same thing. In fact, let's go back to history. The Minister of Interior who humiliated Imam Karamo Ture is former Minister Momodou Bojang, who is right now in America. What is Momodou Bojang? A Muslim. He's a Muslim. What is Yaya calling himself? I don't call him that, but he calls himself a Muslim. So, the Christians in the Gambia, Yaya does not like them. He does not fear them. He respects them. That is what I can say about that.
Thank you so much, for that answer. Mr. C, obviously, for the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and keep moving on. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you're listening to Momodou Krubally having a conversation with former Ambassador of the Gambia, Mr. Essa Bokar Sey. Today is Sunday, January 17th, 2016 at 6:37 p.m. Los Angeles time. Mr. C, obviously, as they say, once an ambassador, always an ambassador. We know that news hits the people like you before it filters down. What do you think is on the horizon for us again, if you were to predict Jammeh's next move? And what is the economical implications of becoming an Islamic state?
Yes, a very good question. And that's why I teased you. I taught my sister not to be jealous. I said he's done rather Larry King and Anthony Anderson Cooper combined.
I don't know about that. I think I am just one of those people that I honestly, truly believe, Mr. C, that we don't take the time to really get to know each other, get to know our people, understand where we stand in certain positions, and to sometimes, we just have to speak as citizens, because each of us have a very unique, qualities that I think, can contribute towards this movement. And the more we talk, the more we understand each other. When we find each other at that table where we have to make major decisions about our nation, then the conversation gets easier. So the whole Dan Ryder thing, I'm not sure. This is just one of those things that I enjoy doing, talking to people, and hopefully I will get a lot more people to come up here and talk with us. But back to that question, just as as a former ambassador, obviously, you all tend to get a lot of information before it reaches down to us here. What do you think, or what do you know of what Jammeh's next move is, and also the implications of becoming an Islamic State, that the direction that Yaya is going?
Well, let's use 3 guidelines here to get towards an answer, which is hypothesis. But hypothesis, like research, is definitely not empirical. So then that is it. And then we will come to predictions, which is also associating variables to be able to project into the future. And then we will now finally use observation and derivation of facts. So if we mix these, we will be able to get into the psyche of a tyrant and tyranny itself. So I believe at this point of time is that Jammeh was testing the waters, has received an answer from public opinion and consensus that he must apply his brakes for his own interests, because everything he's interested in is to perpetuate himself in power. That's all. So when it comes to what is in the horizon, this is like now, for me, Yaya Jammeh is on the defensive instead of being on the offensive. He's been on the defensive for so long. He was trying to test and see if I can be on the offensive again. But that is the wrong move he took, because declaring the Gambia an Islamic State. In fact, yesterday I was interviewing somebody who is a leader of the MSDC rebel faction in Southern Casamance, regardless of the fact that some of them sympathize with Yaya here and there, but he was honest enough to say that Yaya Jammeh waking up one day and declaring the Gambian Islamic State is one of the worst mistakes he has ever made, I can say. Because it does not even tell well, not only on him, but it also does not tell well on that very religion he believes he is standing up for. That is the number one mistake he did. So decline the Gambian Islamic State by trying to use executive orders, by trying to use media, by trying to use diplomacy. It's just like I said, cooking okra soup, but you spice it up with acid. You will have okra soup to serve, but anybody who eats it is definitely going to realize that their intestines will be cut into pieces inside, and they will eventually die. So my belief at this point of time, MB, is that Yaya Jammeh has exhausted all avenues. He is there trying to do everything possible to render himself and his regime relevant, when in actual fact he is irrelevant, and he's trying to be forcefully calling the attention of powerful players within the circle within the geopolitical arena. But Yaya has forgotten one thing. The geopolitical arena is called an arena, it's not called a circus. He thinks it is a place where he can perform circus and come to be the magician. That is not a circus. That is a circle of events where people meet to discuss serious matters that will either push humanity ahead, protect it, or stand up against anything that will destroy that humanity where we live in. So he is acting but in a circus, when actually this is not about being a circus. This is a place where he should produce something convincing, useful, and progressive. Unfortunately, you can never find that in the mind of a person who is suffering from diminished mental capacity, my brother.
So what do you think is the economical implications of becoming an Islamic state? Obviously, we understand there is people are thinking that part of the reason why he's going this direction is to get some financial help from the Arab nations. But I mean, looking internally, is this a good thing for our nation, or is there any economical implications, given that this will somewhat drive away the West from investing into the country?
And that shows you that Yaya is not informed, and the people around him are pretending to be informed when they are not. Now, look, recently, I mean, any person can go on Google when they listen to our program, at least for the immediate, not the deep part of it, but they can find out the deficit of Saudi Arabia's budget. There are predictions that within the next 20 years, Saudi Arabia is going to be bankrupt. Already, the deficit of Saudi Arabia is $98 billion. So if the most powerful economically is suffering that way, does Yaya Jammeh in fact study? Does he read? Does he know the statistics? Because there is a difference between a file being put on your table by people calling themselves experts, and then they fool you or to lead you towards the wrong path, and then you come and believe that you know what's happening in the world. I mean, even if it is for economic reasons, Yaya has to agree within his own mind to accept that he is nobody and Gambia made him. If he continues believing that I am the one who did for Gambia, he did nothing for Gambia, because the moment he was born, if there was no clinic, there was no protection, there was no house, there was no food, he might have died as a baby. So Gambia did for him. He didn't do anything for Gambia. So the economic implications, the risk begins locally. How can you disrespect the people who produce? How can you disrespect local expertise and disrespect international expertise? Disrespect our traditional partners. Say that I don't need chicken chain from European Union when you don't even have Canara chain. How can you survive? So he's trying to swim against the stream, and this stream is very powerful. And this stream is what? International relations. Gambia cannot be an island. It means he does not understand what his task is. He's not informed about his surrounding. Anything Yaya hears every day, all right, sir. Everything will be all right, sir. Everything all right to go to the yard. That's what I have to say on that, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. C. We're already a little over an hour in this interview, so we have maybe about another 15, 20 minutes. And I just wanted to quickly, for the interest of time, move into the final segment of our discussion here. Mr. C, obviously, you know, the political part, we do have to talk, and unfortunately, this might be the little uncomfortable part of our discussion, because we're in an election year. What is your take on this election issue, and how could you give an update on the registration, how the registration process is going on right now?
You know, my brother, there was a time that we had about Pristine Company was in the Gambia to do things like digitals or biometrics and stuff like that, which was a very good idea. But who is the one who discouraged it? Yaya. So there is what I call the biometric citizens. But those biometrics are not being prepared by Pristine. It's Yaya himself who dictates it. Whether people know it or not, if he's ready to do that, he's going to invite the expertise of Chinese, which are Taiwanese. Those people don't know you, they don't know me. All they know is let them be paid and do the job. That's it. So let's imagine now, not in fact imagine, it's factual. People from Casamance will come into the Gambia. It's not like you and I, you know, Gambia was a small nation, but it was a nation of quality when it comes to citizenship. you yourself are from a family of chiefs and alcalos, and you know that. I mean, was it easy? In fact, if you are related to somebody in Mali or in Guinea-Conakry or in anywhere, was it easy for you, MB, to welcome anybody at your house in Bate and just make them a Gambian citizen? You know it was not easy. You could not have done that. Your parents who were, I mean, handling positions of responsibility as chiefs and alcalos, they could not do that. So this is what is happening in the Gambia now. Go to the alcalo during the time of the former regime, get a paper, do this, come, and then go through what they used to call butterfell, medical department. Do this, come, and then you get your birth certificate. Sometimes the North certificate. But now what do we have? It's worse than what our ancient or what our grandfathers used to say. I mean, at that time they would say, somebody would born, they would say, the atum ngela ready. So, in fact, those people are even better than us. Right now, you can get somebody from anywhere in the outskirts of a village in Casamance, take them to the Ministry of Interior, take their fingerprints, put them into a computer, give them a card, and they will say, oh, if you check their system, you will see it. But are they following the path? Right now at the Ministry of the Immigration Department, there is one person called Zul. That Zul, that is his code name. He used to be a fighter in MFDC. But he is at the immigration issuing people, ID cards. It begins with birth certificate, ID card, and then, then the passport or the voter's card. Now, if the birth certificate is disrespected, the alcalo's role is disrespected, or in fact, dominated. Because those alcalos also, they come to power through the BA. You see in Gambia, alcalo green boys, alcalo APRC supporter, chief green boys, chief APRC supporter. And they call those people the executive, who should be answerable to the Ministry of Local Government. Now, those things, if they are combined, I don't know. I cannot speak for these political party leaders. But my belief as a person who knows Yaya Jammeh, as a person, I know they are well informed and I respect them. But let them not underrate the information I have also that drips from the internal files of this particular regime, which some people are still loyal to some of us. And they would not hesitate to let you know what's going on. This should have begun with electoral reform with sincerity. In fact, MB, like they say in Fula, if you are counting and one is not there, how can you leave one and start with two? So what do I mean by that? The chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, I call it DEC though, and I have my reasons, which is Dependent Electoral Commission. It is not independent. But officially, that's what they call it. Now, Mustafa Karel, my brother, he is there occupying a position illegally. His term has expired. Legally, he shouldn't be there. And in fact, he was not sworn. He is the only unsworn chairman of an electoral commission throughout the continent of Africa. So how can that person be the arbiter, the referee of elections? This is where it all begins. Why shouldn't they challenge that first before we think about elections? Who are you going to go to elections with? I mean, not Yaya Jammeh, though, because Yaya Jammeh has all the tools at his disposal, which is not legal. And they will see what I'm saying. This time, maybe they go with Yaya Jammeh in elections, he will come out with 87 perfect. Let us go, my friend.
But so you're saying, given the registration process, obviously the election reforms, are you saying that the opposition should not participate in the coming election? And
you say that? Yes, go ahead.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, in a different way, but I don't want to use the word boycott, because there is a difference between boycotting and trying to orientate something that is going towards the wrong path. They are not boycotting. The thing is, how is Yaya Jammeh going to elections? The electoral reform itself hasn't happened. Now look, the laws are not even accurate because they are accepting something which I believe they should challenge before going to elections. Yaya Jammeh is the one. Some of them will say the constitution. The constitution itself is unconstitutional. It should be suspended. Why? Because Yaya Jammeh put there, did they have age limit during Jawara's time? There was no age limit, even though there was no term limit, but there was no age limit. Then Yaya Jammeh is from the frying pan to the fire. So Yaya Jammeh, there is no term limit and there is an age limit. In fact, let's just look at Ousainou Nomokunda Dabo, my friend, our uncle. Look at John McCain. Look at Hillary Clinton. Look at Donald Trump. Look at Abdullah. Look at Landing Savane. All these people, Ousainou Dabo is not older than them, my friend. And then look at OJ. He's a little bit younger than Ousainou. So all those people, in fact, America, we always hear the term life begins at 65 or life begins at 60. So these people, in fact, the law that is being used as a base to guarantee elections is that very law in quotes is illegal. You cannot, because in America, MD, you hire. I always repeat this because I know what you do. You hire. You know that MB, between you and I, will you ever dare turn an applicant down because of their age? Would you do that?
No.
I just want to hear a yes or no on that. Would you do that, sir? You will not.
No, that is illegal.
That is discriminatory. Age, gender, origin, race, all religion is discriminatory. So now the Constitution begins its discrimination with the people who are contenders, people that we have hope on that can replace Yaya Jammeh and be the future presidents. It is discriminating against those people. Why are they accepting it? This is my problem. In term limits are not there. ECOWAS pushed it and then Yaya rejected it with Nasimbe. But Nasimbe later on withdrew. He accepted. Yaya Jammeh is the only president in the entire continent of Africa who does not want to even discuss term limits after serving for 22 years. So these are the precipitants underneath, which is why I believe that at this point of time, the discussion in the Gambia is not about elections. If they believe they can go to elections and win them, fine. I would very much be happy. Of course, anybody is better than Yaya Jammeh. Even Ahmad Barad that I disagree with in principle in certain instances, he is better than Yaya Jammeh. So if I can come and swallow and muster that part of me to accept Ahmad being better than Yaya Jammeh, so obviously what do you think I would say about Ousainou and Halif? You can't even compare those people to Yaya Jammeh when it comes to education, when it comes to sincerity, when it comes to responsibility. Because these are people who have families, who raise families, who are responsible, who stood in court to protect the rights of people over the years. Yaya got a wife when he became a president, and he started learning responsibility to be able to maintain a household by dancing at night and drinking during the day. So you cannot compare this with Yaya Jammeh at all. Where sincerity is leading the way, where efficiency, education, and patriotism is leading the way, definitely none of them is comparable with Yaya Jammeh. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. C. Now that we know your position on the whole electoral process and if the opposition should go or not, let's say the opposition gets into a coalition and they get an effective campaign going on and they beat Yaya Jammeh at the polls. Do you think he will leave office peacefully, or will he just do like many of the other African leaders, what they did?
One thing I'll tell the opposition is that, coalition is definitely more motivating for me than the current situation. At least, even where I've seen so many threats, but having a coalition, statistically, I think is more hopeful than just breaking into peace. That one definitely, even if I don't agree with many of the things that we are pushing ahead, the law itself should be challenged. But coalition also answers a question that outsiders do ask. You hear, you go to meetings. I'm not going to divulge the meetings. You will not divulge. But there are certain meetings you go to. Some people will look at you and say, who do you have for us to show at least? Let's say if you wanted to push an agenda, to take it to policymakers at the G7. Let's say example. Or to go to the Security Council and convince them that, look, this is a crisis management. Gambia is a crisis zone. If you don't intervene, this president wants to perpetuate himself in power and we could turn out to be another Ivory Coast. The first question they will ask you is, who is the figure that you are presenting for us to lean on and support? That is where the coalition could be helpful though, because at least you will have a person, an institution, not an individual, an institution who is not symbolic, but is an institution, a person standing, representing a coalition. That is more motivating, definitely. So even if I don't agree with the general scope, there I will definitely cede some of my observations and accept that having a person representing all the parties also is a motivation.
So
yes.
Are you saying that if he's beaten at the polls, he will leave office gracefully?
Well, I used to be one of those people who would say he would not leave gracefully, but I think now I will say it differently. He will leave gracefully or he will be disgraced to leave. It's either grace or disgrace. So it is a matter of choice between him and the people, because I know that before he can get away with that. But now let me just give Yaya a warning. If anybody becomes a head of a coalition and people believe that the elections are rigged and then he wants to stay there, MB, I will say it on record, Gambians will see. Because that time, Yaya Jammeh had signed and authorized people to rise up against him by any means necessary. Yes. And that may not come from the internal part of this story. He may be surprised too.
Thank you. That is also my position on this whole coalition thing. But just for the interest of time, Mr. C, can you just quickly tell us, give us a breakdown of these three major political parties, the UDP, the PDOIs, and NPR. Your take, Mr. C. What do you think of UDP, PDOIs, and NPR as a political entity in the Gambia?
I will give an analysis of the way I see them on the side of respect, and I will come also and give them an advice and an observation and a criticism on the side of communication. So, I have one party who is on record saying that if the Nobel Peace Prize could be given to a group, nobody is more qualified than UDP, PPP, PDOIS, and other, especially these, old parties, traditional parties, I would call them, in quotes. And of course, other party members also. For goodness sake, let's just give devil his due. My party did not get up to take up arms. Henry Gomez did not get up to take up arms. However small a number is following a person, don't disrespect him. But when we come to the larger, the traditional ones, the one who have been there, I can say that I would not hesitate to write a letter to those who issue the Nobel Peace Prize and ask you and I to make it a petition that they deserve that. Because they have taken so much for Yaya Jammeh. And you have never had any one of these people got up. Some people think it's cowardice. Sometimes I get frustrated. But if I think deep as an ambassador, professionally, a party who has occupied a position of responsibility in government, if anybody is not being tested, you may not know, I would not say it is cowardice. I would say it is responsibility. Because some of them also, give them that credit. They may not want to see the flag being burned. They don't want to see. I don't think they are cowards. Because some of those people are on the ground too, fighting. Their lives are at stake. They could be abducted, could be shot, could be killed any minute, any time. There is no guarantee. So that is where I give them the credit. Now the observation I've made is that let them also ask their supporters inside and outside to be tolerant, to be very tolerant. You cannot claim to want to replace Yaya Jammeh when if anybody comes out today, you write a criticism of a PDOIS or UDP or PVP, there will be people outside, instead of engaging you to persuade you, what I've observed, the time I've observed, especially within us in the diaspora, they don't engage to persuade, they don't engage to convince, they will engage you by being disrespectful and trying to regurgitate things and say, okay, you also, you are like this. Okay, you are, now look, you are standing up for a leader. You are making a leader. And that leader is claiming to be ready to serve those who oppose him or her, or those who support him or her. The reason why I'm saying her, it is open now. One thing I'll make clear here today, let people listen to me anyway. With all due respect, if I were to hear that a woman is the coalition leader, it may not even be the ones we are hearing on radios. Essa Bokar Sey will come out and say, okay, you have my vote. Yes. If I were to be in the Gambia, of course, not my vote may not be useful for that person, but in terms of motivation and being on the media and speaking, yeah. The present one is not because I don't want to give them my vote, but I would rather want to see them unite. But let them also redress their method of communication. You see, being absolute is only fitting for Allah. Let them look back and look at the way they communicate. How do they extend the message? Who do we talk to? In politics, there is nothing like, I'm used to Momodou Krubally. I am only going to talk to Momodou Krubally. No. It doesn't work like that. Because communication is just like weather. Politics is like weather. Security is like weather. They change. Sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's hot. So you have to prepare your cubicle of communication for people who are ready to engage when it is hot, when it is cold, when it is windy, when it is icy, when there is a flood, everything. You have to prepare those kind of people. And a political party, internally or externally, should not always make people believe that what you said to me, I know it, I have been doing it. Which means nobody can tell you what you should do, but you want to lead me. And you want my vote. The responsibility of the political party, a political party leader, is to engage and then to convince, or to engage and educate. If you engage, you educate, you don't convince, go back and revise your lesson. Don't say that this person, that is religious, because if you engage, you educate, you don't convince, then you want to kill or you want to castigate. That's dogmatic. Because in religion, you have to believe. You don't believe. If you go against it, you should be beheaded, in a way. But are we about religion or about science? This shows that you are not absolute, because that's why you want people to vote for you. Angels don't ask for votes. Prophets don't ask for votes. Khalif generals don't ask for votes, MP. That's what my answer is on that question.
Thank you so much. Very, very, very fitting answer. You've spoken about these political parties and their leaders. What is your take on the critics that say that they've also stayed in power too long in their respective parties and that they need to step aside, and it is also their responsibility to groom a leader to replace them?
That is true. Indirectly, you see, this is why I call you damn brother. You are very dangerous. You know, and that is true. I mean, indirectly, I've answered the question. You didn't hear when I said, if a woman was to get up now, I will just say, you have my vote. That's an indirect. You know, also remember, you talking to somebody who's at least drank from the jar of diplomacy, but here you are, MB, trying to make me speak categorically, and I will speak categorically then. Because the thing is, which is a very good question, because the thing is, having stayed long is one of the aspects. You see, because these are intelligent, highly educated people, intelligent and extremely experienced people. So definitely, us having a multiplication of Ousainou Darbos in the Gambia, I'll begin with him, is much better than us having one Ousainou forever, and then when Ousainou is no more, then we don't have another Ousainou. No, we don't want that. And how can that happen? I'm not saying I'm talking to Ousainou. I will come to the rest of them. That what will happen? The moment you are out, nobody else will be there. That is not safe for any institution. Now let's come to his education. Can you beat Ousainou when it comes to law? In fact, what is more important than law in this world? Why is the world stable? It's law. If there are no laws, do you think we'll have businesses? We will have anything? Of course not. That's why they said, Obama once said, Africa does not need strong men, Africa needs strong institutions. I said, yes, Your Excellency, Mr. President, but I will extend it. We need respected constitutions before institutions. Because what kind of institution? Yeah, Gambia today is an institution. But is it the institution we want? No. So before institution, let's have law. That's why one should respect a person like Ousainou. That's the baggage he comes with. That's the quality he comes with. Whether you support him or not, whether you like him or not, you cannot remove that from him. And we all know during the 81 coup, he was in that courthouse, gave pro bono services, and then freed people. I know people that I'm related to, who are related to me directly through my wife, that he stood for in a courthouse and freed them without them paying him a single butut. I'm not saying it to support him. I'm saying things between me and God. Now let me come to Alhaji Omar Jam. Everybody knows that even if I speak, they hear the way I respect him. But let me pedal back a little bit. Ousainou Nomokunda Dabo himself. If I want to be subjective, I would just say, okay, he's the one I support. Not only did he stand up for people that I know, but he's related to me because my late father, the father of the Minister of Health, his wife, Yafatu Jata, is Ousainou Dabo's sister. So there is one person you know in Amite, is called Sambu Jata. They are all related. Sambu and I and Omar and everybody else are in the same family umbrella, under the same family umbrella. They call Ousainou uncle. If Omar C calls Ousainou uncle, our C calls Ousainou uncle, Aisatu C calls Ousainou uncle, why wouldn't Essa Bokar Sey call him uncle? Of course, because that is not my making. But are we here for family or for competence? We are here for competence. So let's come to Omar Amadou Jallow. Everybody knows when I talk about him. He knew me when I was little. We still talk. We still communicate for political. Oje is one of those people that over his dead body, whatever you say, he will always say, no, me, I don't like violence. I believe democracy is the answer for Africa's future. That's what he says. Now, look at that kind of person, the wealth of experience a person like that has. For example, if there was a person associated with OJ today, every day, this is the one I'm grooming, this is the one who will take over PPP, this is the one who will take over PPP, until a certain point of time, we would not only have one OJ one time in Gambian history, we will have OJs multiplied. When OJ is old enough to retire and go away, then that is it. But politics does not have retirement. I want Gambians to understand that too. Even if these people were to groom somebody, they would not retire. Politics doesn't have retirement. It's just a question of grooming somebody in the event that you are needed. Let's come to Khalifa and Sidi Ajat. As a child, I used to be at Kuntaya, hearing him organize programs on Radio Gambia. I was at Nema Kunku. One time he was cold, I saw him come there. I still remember what he was putting on. A dark brown jumper, like a sweater. It was cold. He was speaking near the Alcala of Nemakunku, Momodou, saying takandiga, so yage ngade, paskadaga judu si nyak, maga si nyak, de si nyak. This is what I had as a youngster. Those words he said, if they were misleading, they might have misled me. If they were orientating somebody, they might have orientated me. Of course, they were not misleading. So if you combine all these people, Sidia Jata, a linguist, a person who came working at the curriculum department, a person who's respected in France, Sorbonne, a linguist by nature. You have all these people, and then you put Yaya aside and look at those people, and still there are people who would look low upon these people. Then this is a sick society. But they also have to understand that each one of them needs to think that, okay, if I'm not here, because there are people of value, let them not deny us that value if they are no longer there. By age or the natural ultimatum, we don't pray for that to happen to them very soon because they are all too young now. I will call them young because you and I know that if you go to other countries, they are not older than those people. Oye is not older than President Putin. No. So this is what I have to say about them, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that in-depth and very honest answer, Mr. C. You talked about female leadership and an automatic, earning of your vote. Obviously, we have seen a lot of female leaders who have been very, very successful, President Ellen Johnson and the like. But it is also always speculated that even a nation like America, maybe then for a woman leader. Do you think the Gambia is ready for a woman president? And if you were to field a candidate today, and we're going to put you on the spot, who would be your choice of candidate to go for a coalition today?
I'm just going to answer through a joke. My wife. No. I'm just joking. I mean, when being ready, that's what they used to say. They said America is not ready for a black leader. But hasn't he turned things up? I mean, for the better. I mean, the economy is not bad, right? I mean, they would say that Gambia has been ready for a female president in 1965. That's what I believe. If they had been in there, participating as the men have been participating, by now they would have had more experience than the men, I would say. Because, like Patrice Lumumba said, educate a woman, you educate a society. Educate a man, you educate a person. So when we come back to America here, the civil rights, I mean, slaves, former slaves, blacks were not allowed to vote. Women were not allowed to vote. Now, let's take Hillary Clinton, for example. If these people were on that road allowed to march with those who were allowed to vote, by now, do you think America might have been led by the fifth woman president, not the first one? So for me, my belief is Gambia was ready for a woman president in 1965. That's what Essa Bokar Sey believes. And my candidate for now, to be honest with you, I'm being very sincere, no jokes here. I have not seen anybody yet that definitely catches my eye. I have names that I can list that I believe that could be very good candidates, but I cannot make a choice.
Go ahead.
You have Dr. Aissatou Toure is there. You have our aunt, Fatoumata Tambajang is there. You have this seasoned educator, Mama Adelaide Sose is there. And the young ones, you come back here. I mean, how many of them are here, very active these days? I mean, we cannot name the young ones for now because we have these ones who are, I'm not saying that they are old, please, Bajan, Bulema Meredith. I mean, it's not like that. But at least in terms of experience, you have Aissatou Toure, doctor. You have people like Mama Adelaide Sose. You have people like Auntie Fatoumata Tambajang and others. So I think we have names out there. The only woman that I will not allow if I were to be, and I will be dictatorial about it, because it's better for our society if Aissatou Jai Seydi, please let them not bring her to represent any political party.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Momodou Krubally, continuous conversation with former ambassador of the Gambia, Mr. Essa Bokar Sey. It's Sunday, January 17th at 7:17 p.m. Los Angeles time. We're right towards the end of our conversation here once again. Our effort here is just to speak with key players in our movement to restore democracy back in the country where we currently have dictator Yaya Jammeh leading us. Mr. C, for the benefit of time, obviously the last time we did this interview, a lot of people wanted us to have an extended version, but I'm a true believer that we just have to keep this interview short so that people can listen to them. Before we close, do you have anything to say as your last words and before we end this interview?
Well, I believe my last word is this modern generation, this modern era, this modern world is a world of information technology, it's a world of communication. My advice is let's fine-tune, let's refine the messages and fine-tune them and make good use of the communication that is at our disposal to expose what needs to be exposed so that it can help give us a society that is aware. Because awareness is the answer to ignorance. These are my last words.
Thank you so much, Mr. C, for joining us again on the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Momodou Krubally. This is the end of our discussion with former Ambassador of the Gambia, Mr. Essa Bokar Sey. Like I indicated earlier, this is just an effort to have a simple conversation with key members or fellow citizens just to understand their position, talk about our current issues, and hopefully this will make the process easier when we find ourselves at the table discussing national issues. Again, our intention is whenever we have time, we will be inviting key people, some of the youth, and obviously Mr. Chongan is now on my list as someone I really want to talk to and understand so that our listeners can understand the military system, how it came about, and maybe he can give us an in-depth. And as someone who served in the Gendarmerie, like you just corrected me, Mr. C, and now obviously a prominent legal expert in the UK, he can hopefully come here and give us a lot of good information. And if anyone out there is listening, you think you have something to say or contribute, feel free to obviously reach out to the major online radios, but also you can reach out to me. I'll be glad to sit with people when time allows to have a conversation. With that said, this is the end of our conversation today, and we will just go ahead and play a little music. And Mr. Essa Bokar Sey, thank you once again, and I'm sure we will do this again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Krubally. Thank you for your services for the nation too.
Thank you, and the struggle continues.
Thank you, sir.
Rastafari never leave I alone. So even when the road gets rocky, me say me never give up. I said there ain't no giving in. And when the going gets tough, I said the tough get going. My people, don't give up. I said there ain't no giving in. No. Rastafari guide I and I from the beginning. Whoa, whoa, whoa. A lot of youths in life say them can't take the pressure no more. Whoa, whoa, whoa. But from your trust in a demo style life, I go get better, I'm sure. The youth juggle on the roadside, Babylon say fi take up your bag and go. Boy, but we still not give up. Me say we solid as a rock like Kalanje. Not give up. I said there ain't no giving in. And when the going get tough, I said the tough gets going. One juggle your fruit, don't give up. I said there ain't no giving in. Mama, Rastafari guide I and I from the beginning. Why oh why oh? Teacher not get paid, the government need to purge and process. Oh yeah. Police not get paid, so them find it hard to serve and protect. And all we get from the government is highlight bits and robust taxes. And them still a pressure the youth to run it hard on the road with them robot taxes. But there ain't no giving in. Go run your taxi youth. Hey, I said the tough gets going. Ba 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 yeah. Nah give up. I said there ain't no giving in. No. Rastafari guide I and I. Whoa whoa. I said my people, we've been facing struggles for so long. Jah people, Please me, I beg you. Please, could you hold on? I know the system have you down and you feel pressed down like 50 feet. I thought the back of the victory sweet. Me say me still not give up, me just kiss me teeth, not give up. I said there ain't no giving in. Hey, how when the going gets tough, I said the tough gets going. Jordan, believe me, not give up. I said there ain't no giving in. Why you worry? Still I see I still a guide I and I. Ooh, why
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and good night from Los Angeles.